Welcome. I'm glad to see all of you today. I'm here again with the Sisters in the Spirit Organizational Group. I'm the founder and executive director, Minister Cynthia Marie Williams, and I say that because I am a metaphysical counselor and teacher. I deal with the deeper issues of our spirituality and the fact that as intelligent human beings and being spiritual, we can create our own reality. We can come out of bad realities, believe it or not. Whatever hell you may think you're going through, there is a way that you can process through that. And that's why I'm here to help you to understand how you can do that. I have women's meetings on Sunday, and let me do my overhead so you can see. That's my beautiful icon that I have, Sisters in the Spirit. Gorgeous, gorgeous. That's the image of Cleopatra and Nefertiti, who were Egyptian women. And that was in the motherland of Africa, as it's called, or Kemet. So I want all of you to know that there is a way that we can move through our woundedness. Now, I do have a program also called EA, Emotions Anonymous, and it is a new way of life. Let me give you my brochure, my overhead for the women's group. Women's group. We'll have a gathering. That's what it is, a gathering. Get away from all the meetings and seminars and workshops. We need to understand that we need to come together in friendship and respect, honesty and openness. We need to understand that we can love one another and we can support one another. And I hope that I walk that talk. In fact, that's my whole role in life. There are other things that I've done to try to show my community as an African descendant woman that I care. Because I have my bachelor's degree, but I want to come back and have come back to the community to do what I can to increase the emotional, mental, and successful orientation of the people in my community. And I feel real good about that. What did Martin Luther King said? All I want to do is help somebody. And if each of us do what we can in our service, whatever position that we may have, to be kind to all people, but for those of us who are African Americans, to understand how we can love each other, how we can respect each other. And as I said, I have the meetings, and again, one more time, this is the overhead for the meeting. I'm sorry, meeting, I like gathering instead. Sisters in the Spirit, that is my email address, and this is the phone number right here, 312-802-4743. You can call me after the show is over. I've had some calls at home, and I'll let you know what the location is. We're in Beverly, and like I say, Sunday at 3 p.m. every Sunday, 3 p.m., no charge. So I want you to know that it's about, part of it is about the structure of EA being a part of the women's group. And it's about helping you with your woundedness, understanding who and what you are, and how to process through those feelings of hatred, abandonment, neglect. And for those of you who feel you have been racially profiled and all that you've gone through in that arena, and being a multicultural person, I have that relationship and have had the relationship with Caucasians, Filipinos, people from all around the world. I've had that fortunate connection, and we are all the same, but it's the way we're culturally brought up and the consciousness and thoughts that we hold in our minds that may not be productive to the global community. Because you can be sure that what's going on here in America is going on around the globe if you pay attention, and some of you may not want to pay attention, but I feel a responsibility to come alive and to help each and every one of us, and specifically my job assignment is to work with African American women in regards to their success and who and what they are, their goddessness and their greatness. Not to negate the males, because men are part of the divine also. We are the feminine divine coming in from the creative universe, the higher power, not being specific to any particular religion, but our spirituality is that which we have in us, that energy of the universe, in our physical bodies. And I, as a metaphysician, can take you even deeper to the issue of the soul. I can talk about transgender people and those who are like that in the question and the struggle that they may be going through, and help them to understand. So I ask you to call in at the number at the bottom of the screen, 312-738 1060. It could be male, female, it doesn't matter who you are, you're still part of this universe. You are a human being who is trying to make it through this world. So I ask you to call me. And you can call me right now. I'd love for you to call me and challenge me. I've had people as men call, and I like that. Because it's not just about me. It's about the universe and how we can help one another. As I said again, with the overhead, let me go and do the overhead again. The meetings are Sunday, gathering Sunday at 3 p.m. And one of the things I would like to share with you is that I use writings of authors to help to educate. Again, Sisters in the Spirit is about educating women of color, black women, as to their spirituality, their psychology, thinking and behavior, and sociology, way of life in the past and today. And we know a lot's going on today. And I want you to know also with the 12-step program, you can learn how to rid yourself of the woundedness. Because I have writings by authors that are structural, because I'm a former teacher and educator. And I know that for those of us, we're all brilliant, we're very intelligent. I had a GED program, help people to get their GED, help people to learn how to read and write and all of that. I had volunteers that cared and worked in that arena. So you can come on down and be a part of this. There are open meetings. There are time to time. Last year, I had men coming to the meeting. And that's going to happen again. The closed meetings is only for that particular, how can I say, information that we as women share about who and what we are. So I want to let you all know that I'm here for you. I'm also a metaphysical counselor, as I said, and teacher. And you can contact me if you like for other areas that you may have problems in and you may need a hopeful idea of what you can do to make it forward, male and female. I appreciate all of you. Now, one of my author's writings is about the goddess image of the woman. And I want to read a little bit this person's biography, if you bear with me for a minute. Her name was Merlin Stone, and she taught art history at the university level from 1958 to 1958 to 1960. Worked as a sculptor, exhibiting widely, executing numerous sculpture commissions, was attested in archaeology, and she became interested in the woman issue, the divine inspiration of who and what we are as women. She traveled between the United States and England. A Caucasian lady, and I appreciate that because we all have information to share so we all can be built up and encouraged. Now, one of the things in her writing that I found very interesting, when you come to the meeting, you'll be able to get into these authors and the writings that I have for them. But one thing I liked about what she had written, and I'm going to quote this. It says here, how did men initially gain his control, regulate the world in matters as vastly defining which wars which we fought, vastly exhibiting which wars will be fought. There you go again. And what time dinner will be served. Now, I kind of messed that up. It's like a joke. Because I was very impressed when she said that. Men fight the wars, as we all know. But then they also want dinner to be served on time. That's that patriarchal structure that we are involved in around the globe. What happened? How did that come about? That came about because the men have been the scribes and the writer of history, history. Our story has not been given forth on so many different levels. So again, I say to you, this is Hotline 21. If you'd like to call in, I would love for you all to call in. I'd like the LGBTQ persons to call in too, because I understand spiritually who and what we are and how the transition from one life to another causes these things to happen in this day, today. I'd like for men to call in. There's no problem. And question or challenge me as to anything that you may think in regards to what I'm talking about. because of the gender bias and sexism that some men have, they feel very insecure with women. Now, that's something I always found interesting, that ego sensitivity of men. When they talk about the Bible and all of that, they talk about women should submit. They say Eve was to blame for taking the apple or whatever that fruit was, and that we are the cause of all the problems, and that's not true. That's not true. But I would just say, as I say, you come to the gathering, and we can discuss different things as you be about the business of being healed of all of those things. And it takes time. It's not an overnight thing, because as women, we are really dumbed down. Many of us still are dumbed down. And we don't respect each other. We don't respect the beauty of who and what we are as original goddesses, as the original mothers of everyone on this planet. And I'm talking about African descended women. I'm talking about you. Because whenever they do any research or any studies, we're always low in the totem pole, or we're just included in black people. I mean, I'm black people. I said, well, where am I? I don't hear anybody talking about how I feel. Now it's beginning to happen because the issue of racism is coming to the forefront. Yes, we have a caller. Yes, caller. Can I have your question or statement, please?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. You know, I watch the shows on 21,
Could you speak a little louder for me, darling?
and you're the one that inspires me so much. I called a couple of times before, but today you're talking about me as a man and what I don't understand. But you make it so much easier for me to understand. So I just wanted to thank you, and I want you to have a great weekend and a great rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my darling. I appreciate that comment. And I'm hoping that you're understanding that we are here for you. We are here as the balance to the masculine. Females are. We, like I said, the masculine is divine, and so is the feminine divine. And we are here to be a partner on this planet as human beings. And we are to be here as, and I'm going to this parent thing because I'm dealing with the reality of we're here in Chicago and all that is going on with the killing and murdering and all of that. But we need to understand that as mothers, we are the first teachers. So in my last show, I talked about the fact that the basketball player, his cousin was murdered, and then there seemed the mother of that girl, she had lost another daughter, and Dwayne Wade. And so the other thing was, who was the mother of these two brothers who did the killing? You know, so the thing is, a young lady called one Thursday and said that they're called gangster mothers or thug mothers or something like that. I never heard of that before. Gangster and thug. And that's sad that we have such a negative outlook on how we should give our children that which they need to grow and develop. And they need that respect and love. And sometimes I don't want to get into the word love as much as respect. It's about respect. You know, and we don't really understand that. God bless you all. And I say to you, beautiful friend of mine, Ella Jackson, I'm so glad you're here, darling. Isn't she beautiful? She's my favorite color, too. Let me get to that color thing. She's my favorite color. And when you look at the new roots, one thing they did point out, they made the comment, I don't know if anybody heard it, they talked about the color of the people coming off the boat. They were blue-black. And they really were blue-black. So we have been miscegenated over the years. So I'm what they call coffee caramel color, okay? So it must be a lot of miscegenation. And then we understand that in the root story of the master, you know, and the African female slave and all of that. So now I want to get back to the point that I was making about women as the goddess. And my friend here, she has done the overview. She's going to do the overview on that writing from that writing that was done by this particular woman. Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Thank you, Cynthia.
Good to
Doing
see
the
you.
overview, I finally found a book. They had it at the library. They wouldn't let
The
me check it
writings
out.
by the author?
Yes.
You found the writings by the author.
And I want to recap on why I wanted to do this with you because I've always felt there was a little bit of an imbalance the way that we have been herded to think one way and not look at some other ways of thinking and do things. We do this in business. We do it in a lot of other areas. Why not in our own personal life between male and female? And as I started reading this book,
The writings?
the
The
writing,
writings by the author?
right, we can't call the name of the book. I remember you saying that, yes. I found that in ancient time, A.D., before Christ, there was deities out there, goddess, that the masses of people were worshiping, getting their training from, learning how to plant seeds, learning how to think, learning how to grow, learning how to do masonry, learning how to love. And they did a fine job. There was not much science, but these female goddesses created it. And as I read on, one of the names I looked up the pronunciation of the name because I wanted to say it right, Ashara. And then as time went on throughout the book, throughout that chapter, I only read the second chapter, which is who was she?
The writings,
right? Semantics, right? I found that the takeover from goddess to male god happened through various wars. And these wars took place just through passion, step by step, and power struggles.
Yes.
One of the reasons that they had so much power as female goddesses because they were so wise. And at this time, the generals and the rich men liked the wiser women because they had so much to give. And that's a little time to expound on all this. But anyway, as they started to connect together and started to trust the head powerful guys and these goddesses, the power was noticed by these guys, by these generals, whatever you want to call them, colonels, kings, or what have you, that so many people were coming to these goddesses for major things as well as things that were small. And the love that they had for them, the trust that they had for them, they wanted that. They wanted to get that kind of power, and they didn't know how. So eventually, as the bonding continued, they asked to share within this power. And killings took place. I'm really going fast forward in a lot of this, but you have to read the writing for yourself.
I find it very fabulous because she's right. Because the lady, what was her name, Walker, she wrote The Color Purple, and she did some other short stories. And one of her stories alludes to the fact that when men notice their physical brute force, then they use that in order to intimidate and take down the women. And I've seen that in other writings of other authors where this was something in consciousness, I say, in thought, that they could physically do this and this because of their insecurities and their ego sensitivity, which they carry that with them today. When you go into a church where they say you should submit, God made man first. I mean, all of these things are not fair-minded. They're not equal and balanced in the consciousness of who and what we are. And so I understand what you're saying there, and I think our audience needs to understand that. And like I said again, when you come to the gathering on Sunday at 3 p.m., we'll be able to go over more of these things, okay? We'll be able to go over all of the writings that we have, and the discussions that we have about who and what we are. Education. Because we're not being educated to these things about ourselves, black woman. Now, I'm talking to you specifically. I'm talking to you specifically because this knowledge is in the Ivy League universities, Harvard and Princeton, University of Chicago. In fact, a writing was given to me when I worked around the University of Chicago, and it had to do with who and what we are. So this information is in these Ivy League universities, but the teachings of the Ivy League university is to perpetuate the Western European civilization. So those original goddesses was she, us.
like to add, if you don't mind,
Yes.
because since I was reading about the writing, as you want me to say,
Mm-hmm.
I am not professing to the thought, confess, I'm sorry, to the thought of I believe that God is a woman or a man. I don't believe that there's a sex. But I like this writing because it shows more of a natural trend why there's such imbalance and such lack of harmony between the two. And I believe that once we get to the true balance, that a lot of these wars would not be necessary, would not take place. Furthermore, as I read into the book with the timeline, the writing, when the timeline showed that there were fewer wars when these goddesses were in power. More
Interesting.
wars
Very
happened
interesting.
after the male ego started to take over.
Can
and
I ask
named
you? I
themselves
want to
as
ask you a
gods.
question myself. Since is any particular geographical area that they talked about that these goddesses lived
It was in the east.
in the east?
Yeah, yes, in the east, Mesopotamia. I'll have to take a look at the book again, but in Syria, those areas, it was around the United Kingdom. Was actually these goddesses were found all over the world.
And, you know, in particular, and,
The
and,
sta-
and
the
I was
statues.
talking about Hindu, because when you go into the Indian culture, I noticed they have a lot of female imaging going on in the Indian culture, the Hindus, and on. So that means there's a strong sense of the goddess in that culture also.
Well, these little statues were found, the archaeologists found them in various places throughout the world, Mexico, Africa, India, yes, even some here. And the descriptions, once they were able to interpret the writing, were saying the same things about these goddesses. And the takeover happened pretty much the same way throughout the world. The timeline's a little different, of course, but the evidence is there.
Well, the beauty of what we're sharing here with you all, as women of color, as you can see, is that we recognize the value of all people, male and female, and transgender for me, as I had been sharing, Ella, is that I understand those who are transgender in the queue because there's a spiritual essence to who and what we are. First of all, we're spirit, soul, and body, and soul is personality. So I would love for many of you to take the chance to call me after the show if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, because it goes to a deeper level, because we're not getting it from the traditional church structure, which is patriarchal. So as you say, the mother has that wisdom and that creativity to go beyond what we've been conditioned to over hundreds and hundreds and centuries in life. Now, one of the things I found in overviewing the writings was that the mother had the lineage, that things went through the female. The dowry was the dowry. The
Matriarchal.
wealth went through the female. So that's something that's been lost and has been taken over. So I want to say to all of you, when you get a chance, we'll put my overhead up one more time. Attend the gatherings. Call me 312-802-4743. And you can come to the meeting Sunday at 3 p.m. and I'll give you the address when you call. I mean, like I said, I've had some calls after the show. And I want you to understand that it's about love. It's about respect. And who and what we are as human beings, as spiritual beings in the human form, and respecting each other all around the globe. And I thank all of you, and look forward to you coming and viewing the show this coming Thursday again, and calling me after the show. Peace and blessings to all of you.